Try picturing this. You sit down to watch a movie. You have no idea what this movie's about, it's brand new, but all you know for a fact is that it's a kids movie and it's animated. But once you finish watching the movie, you cannot stop thinking about how amazing it was and how badly you want to go back and watch it again. Well, that happened to me. I recently watched KPop Demon Hunters and I can confidently say I am completely obsessed. The movie was incredible. It deserves all the love it's getting and I loved it so much. From the visuals to the story to the music, it was absolutely a pure masterpiece. It's actually been an entire month since I've seen the movie, but I am still so obsessed with the songs. They're so catchy and lovable. And at this point, it's kind of got me thinking why I haven't become sick of it yet, because usually when I love a song, I listen to it so much that I become completely bored and sick of it. But I don't know, this is just so catchy, like Golden, Soda Pop, Takedown, oh my god, everything is so good. By the way, if you haven't seen the movie yet, I would 101% recommend you to watch it because it was really good. Like, the story is simple but not too simple. It's complicated but not too complicated. Overall, it's so perfect. Oh my god, I have so much to talk about, but that's what this video is for. But starting off, let me introduce you to our project today. So the drawing I showed you a couple of seconds ago was a drawing of the one, the only Rumi from KPop Demon Hunters, one of the main characters of the movie. And I drew her because A, she's my favorite character, and B, because I love the movie so much and I thought drawing it would be a fun way to show my love. So after I drew Rumi, I posted my drawing as a YouTube short, and that short got over 200,000 views over the span of 2 days, which completely shocked me. Not only that, but I got so many lovely comments from all you lovely people, and a lot of people told me how Rumi was their favorite character too. Hashtag I can relate to that. But more people wanted to see me draw the other two Huntrix, Zoey and Mira. And like the genie from Aladdin's lamp, your wish is my one and only command. So today we are going to be drawing all three characters on the same page. That includes Rumi, Mira, and Zoey. Now this probably sounds super simple, but trust me, it was not. I was kind of internally freaking out because I couldn't find the perfect reference image for the pose, and I also wanted to do something simple, like a simple shoulder length pose. But at the end, I kind of just went with a almost full pose, like a 3/4 pose with them standing side by side next to each other, which is always so stressing because I have to make sure that their heights align and that they're kind of proportionate to one another. Anyways, drawing three people on a page is quite stressful, but the final result always ends up looking pretty good. So today I decided to just trust the process. But like you might know, having a good foundation is the key to building a good house. Wearing a good primer is the key to having your makeup looking really good. And just like that, making sure this base sketch turns out perfect is my way of making sure the final drawing doesn't end up looking wonky or weird. And when I tell you I spent time on this sketch, I mean it. I literally spent 3 hours solely on the sketch. I spent it on getting the base sketch laid out, erasing it, making it better, and then doing my final sketch with all the details on top. But it was all definitely worth it, and let me show you how it's done. I am not kidding when I say that I cannot get the songs out of my head. I am literally singing the entire KPop Demon Hunter playlist on repeat constantly, and I don't even know half the lyrics, so that's my situation right now. Anyways, with the base sketch completely done, it's now time to go ahead and add in all the details. And as I was doing this, I realized just how many details the characters actually have, because when you look at the characters, you can see it, but when you're drawing the details and when you're trying to recreate their outfits and accessories, that's when you really notice just how much thought went into their character designs. Like, there are so many simple things. For example, Rumi's jacket, Mira's t-shirt, and Zoey's pants that have so much detail to them, and I was kind of stressing out because I knew that this was going to take me a very long time to color in and finalize, but at the same time I just tried to enjoy the process and take my time with it. Also, some people commented the other day asking if I could kind of slow down my sketching process and kind of show you guys in detail what I do. So that's why today I kind of kept the sketching part a little longer and we're skipping the line art because yeah, you guys asked and I delivered. Talking about asking, nobody asked, but I'm gonna ramble about the movie. Maybe spoilers ahead, maybe, I'm not sure, but we'll see. So, first of all, when I saw this movie, I did not go in with high expectations. I did not go in with any expectations. My friend told me to watch it and we watched it together, and she had already watched it. She said it was really good, so I was just trusting her. I was expecting something maybe like mediocre, average, but I was astonished. From the very first song, I thought to myself, these main characters are actually cool. Like, they're actually cool. And I'm emphasizing this because I cannot remember the last time that I watched an animated movie and thought to myself that the main characters were actually cool. That is, except for Flynn Rider, but Flynn is just generally cool overall. But yeah, these guys are amazing. It was just so refreshing to see characters who were mature but fun, who were cool but kind at the same time. It's not a combination that we see a lot of these days, but it was really nice to see it after a long time. I just loved how the way that the characters talked to each other and everything was just, it felt so natural and it didn't feel too scripted, even though obviously it was scripted. And I loved the way that their outfits just kind of match each other as well. There's like these simple elements that kind of join all their outfits together, but at the same time, they've got their own distinct and unique styles. And overall, it's just perfect. It's everything you could ever hope for an animated movie. And I really loved the part with the tiger. I just found that so cute. Like, I wasn't expecting it to be cute. I thought it was going to be some kind of intense scene, but the way that the tiger was just trying to fix the pot, oh my god, it was so adorable. I loved that part. And then there was the animation, the lighting. The lighting throughout the entire film was so perfect for every situation. It just looked so bright and colorful, except for the parts where they were more dark because the scenes were more darker and sad or angry. Like, it was just so perfect. It was kind of like mood lighting. And something else that I really appreciated was the pacing, because sometimes I find that with films, the first half tends to be a bit slow, but the second half tends to feel a bit rushed, which is not my kind of vibe. At the same time, I don't like a movie that's too long where it kind of makes me feel bored, but this movie was perfect. The pacing was absolutely perfect in my opinion, and the one thing that I didn't like was the fact that it had to end, because why couldn't it just go on forever? It was so perfect. No, but if this ever comes back as a live action or a series, it is going to be absolutely epic. Or even just a second movie, like, I am waiting for that. I already have my hopes way up. But out of everything going on throughout the entire movie, if I had to pick just one singular thing to be my favorite, it would 100% be the music, because it was just so good. It was so perfect. Now, when it comes to me and music, personally, I look for something to relate with. I look for a sense of relatability, and if I can relate to the song or the emotions or the underlying message, I would love it. Like, for example, let's think back to a couple of years ago. Let It Go. Why was that song so good? It was so good because you could relate that to the feeling of being trapped and wanting to let go, wanting to be free from literally anything that you're experiencing in your life. And in that way, I love how Golden specifically has so many hidden messages in it. There's messages about pressure to be a queen. There's messages about wanting to be yourself and not having to please others, and just so many things that so many people around the world can relate to with a very catchy tune. That's why I love the music. And of course, we can't forget about the wonderful singers with their beautiful voices and the very mesmerizing choreography that absolutely flowed so well. Overall, just 10 out of 10, 5 stars. Amazing, A+, loved it. Need I say more? Well, probably yes, because otherwise this video is just going to be music for the next couple of minutes. So let's go back to our drawing. As you can see, I really took my time on this drawing because A, I was actually having fun despite the amount of details I had to consider, and B, I really wanted this to turn out good because I went into this with high hopes and I was not looking forward to disappointing myself. Also, I was having such a hard time to decide if I wanted Mira to smile or not. At the end, I decided to go with not a smile just because I feel like it suited her personality a little bit more, although I'm kind of on the fence about it. Still, I'm pretty happy with this. and then I went ahead and added on the rest of her details. And of course, I had to jinx myself because as I was sketching, I was thinking to myself that Mira seems to be so easy to sketch. She's literally just wearing a top and a skirt, so it's going to be super easy to do the line art and the coloring. But of course, I was wrong because her top had lots of details and so did her skirt that required me to do a lot of shading and layering and things like that, which you will see me do very, very soon. I also love how it says "won't miss" on her top. That's just so perfect for her. And her line in golden was just so slay. When she says, "called a problem child because I got too wild, but now that's how I'm getting paid." That's perfect. Absolutely perfect. Wow. It felt so weird to say that and not sing it, but there we go. I also really like older hairstyles because I feel like I have worn all of these multiple times. Like back when I had bangs, I would always wear a bun, especially to school. I felt like I looked like Cinderella at that point. And I loved wearing Dutch braids, especially when I had longer hair. And now I love wearing this hairstyle, the one that Mira's wearing, because it's just so iconic. I've loved it for a long time. And as you can probably tell by my profile picture, it has consistently been my favorite for a couple of years. But anyways, it's time to move on because our sketch is almost complete and I cannot wait to show you guys how it looks. Okay, are you ready? Check it out. Here is the final sketch. I am really proud of this. Considering that I spent 3 hours working on this, I think all that time and effort and hard work definitely paid off because the results are good. Like, I'm proud of it and I think that's what matters most. I loved working on the sketch, I love looking at the finished sketch, and I kind of don't want to color in the finished sketch because I love the way it already looks. But still, we're going in today, we're going to be doing the line art and the coloring because we're really going to try and take this up to a whole other level. But just before that, I think it's time to kind of change up the scenery a bit. So let's go ahead and change the background in 3, 2, and 1. I love the way this desk mat looks. I've recently been loving it more than the rainbow cheetah mat for some reason. I just think it's so pretty. Anyways, now the next step is to do the line art. And this part took me 50 minutes to do, but for you guys, it's only going to take a second. And there we go, the line art is complete. I showed my mom the progress I made to this point, and she told me to literally just frame this drawing because it looked that good. Like, come on, how much more supportive can a human being be? But no, we are not framing it just yet. We are still going to go ahead and try doing some coloring. But just keep this in mind. Everything up to now has been going really well. So what does that mean? That means there is a potential for something wrong to happen at any given point in time. So let's be on the lookout for that because it may or may not happen. And by the way, today we are not going to be using a protective sheet underneath the paper we're coloring in because today I'm using my bleed-proof sketchbook. So that's one thing that we don't have to do. So after I went ahead and picked out my markers and turned on the lights, I got straight to coloring. And we're starting it off with Zoey as our very first character. So the main colors I used for the skin are the markers R18, R19, and R20. So these are the exact markers I used to color in the previous Rumi drawing in my purple sketchbook, and they worked really well. So I was pretty confident that they'd work for this drawing as well. But here's the thing. As you can see in this sketchbook, when I use the markers, they kind of go on a little bit dark but then dry slightly lighter, which kind of made it a little hard for me to see how the final color would look at the very end. But I kind of trusted the process because these are the exact markers that I used for the previous drawing and they worked pretty well. So I had my hopes up and I just kind of hoped that they would work on this paper as well. And so I was told to trust in the process, and in the process I will trust. And just like that, I kept on going. And today, remember how I told you that I really want to take my art up to a whole other level? Well, one of the ways I want to do that is by coloring very intentionally with the shadows and lighting in mind. So today I really want the shadows and lighting to pop in my drawing. So the entire time I was coloring today, I was like super conscious about where I was putting the shading, where I was adding the shadows, where I was letting the light shine through, and I kind of added more shading to the face than I normally would. And at first it looked okay, but then I started coloring in Rumi and I guess I kind of got in the zone. I wasn't paying too much attention. I was kind of focusing focusing on the shadows, and I ended up, as a consequence, layering the markers a little too much, which ended up in Rumi having a slightly deeper skin tone than I would have liked. Now, the actual skin tone is absolutely gorgeous. I love the way it looks, but it's not quite as accurate to the character Rumi and the skin tone that she has. And since I'm trying to recreate fan art of a character, I wanted it to be quite accurate to the actual character, and I was kind of stressing out because the ink was wet and it looked really dark, and I wasn't sure if it was going to be accurate to Rumi's skin tone or if it was going to be a little deeper than I had intended. Anyways, the point is, I was doing really well, I was super relaxed, and then suddenly I realized that I might be making a mistake, and then I started to stress out because I wasn't sure how to fix it. It's really hard to go light with alcohol-based markers without making it look patchy, so I was a bit confused on how to fix it, or if it was actually a problem that I needed to consider, because maybe the ink looked dark because it's wet, but maybe as it dries, it could become lighter. Anyways, I had so many thoughts running around in my head, I was so confused. But none of that seemed to stop me from adding more and more shading to the face, hoping that maybe adding more shadows would kind of give the character that sense of depth and make her skin tone look a bit balanced. I don't know, I was trying stuff, but just for comparison, here is the drawing of Rumi that I made previously, and here's her skin in that with the exact same markers for the base of the skin tone, and here's how it looks right now. So as you can see, there is a significant difference, but fingers crossed that it all goes well and that I'll figure out some kind of solution. What can I say? When life gives you tangerines, sorry, lemons. But When Life Gives You Tangerines is a very good K-drama. You should check it out if you're interested. Anyways, here is how the actual color R18 looks in comparison to Rumi here. I feel like what may have happened is I might have been too caught up in adding lots of shadow to the face and considering the lighting and the way it affects the characters' faces that I ended up doing a little too much layering than I probably should have. But that's fine, we're gonna go ahead and try to fix this. And to do that, I'm gonna need the help of some different mediums, starting off with some colored pencils. And I recently noticed something. It's actually kind of weird. No matter what kind of branded pencil I have next to me, my hands always reach for these two unbranded colored pencils, specifically the pink one and purple one that I'm using right now. These pencils came in some random mixed media set years ago, like a very long time ago, but they have no brand on them. But they're always the ones I reach for because they always give me exactly what I want. So today I used those two pencils in combination with my raspberry Crayola pencil to kind of make the shadows look more defined, hoping that that might balance out the skin tone, which didn't give me exactly what I wanted. So then I brought out some further reinforcements with some acrylic markers, and I used this to kind of make the lighting pop out so that maybe the skin tone will look kind of like how I want it to be. But then it just looked too bright and like in your face, and I wanted it to be a bit more blended, so I tried using my alcohol markers to blend it, and eventually I realized that I had to stop. And so I abandoned my drawing and came back the next day, and here is how it looks the next day. For some reason, the skin actually looks good. What? I actually like it now. Maybe it was the lighting from the last day, maybe it was me stressing out over tiny things, or maybe the ink kind of lightened up overnight. I don't know what it is, but suddenly I love the way it looks and I'm so excited because we're gonna go ahead, color everything else in, and watch our drawing come to life. With the coloring, I couldn't decide if I wanted to do it character by character or section by section, so then I decided to do something super simple to start it off, which is just color in all the yellow parts of all the characters, which is probably super easy, right? Right? No, it was not, because even though I was doing just yellow, I had to juggle like 4 markers in my hand at the same time. I was literally going in with yellow and orange and pink and purple, layering and blending and layering and blending, going back and forth. But did I stop there? No, I did not. So after that, I went back in with my colored pencils to individually shade each section, which was, well, I wouldn't say it was relaxing, but more so extremely tedious. But it'll all be worth it for the final result. I also went in with my acrylic paint pens to make the lighting really stand out and pop, and finally with some metallic gel pens to just kind of highlight the silver and golden accessories. By the way, we are officially 2/3 into the video, and if you've managed to watch all this way without skipping or fast forwarding, and that is 20 minutes, thank you so much. You are truly incredible, and your support really means the world to me. If you'd like to let me know that you made it this far without skipping or fast forwarding, feel free to comment this emoji down below. Thank you so much, you are the best. And also feel free to comment which song from this movie is your favorite if you've seen them, because initially Soda Pop was my favorite song like right after I finished watching the movie, but then it kind of became golden, and now I'm thinking that it might actually be Takedown. So I don't know, they're all so good. Let me know which one is your favorite down below. And now back to our drawing. When I was coloring in the jeans, I was kind of stressed at first because look at how bright the blue looks at the moment. The thing is, Rumi has really desaturated denim shorts, but my blue was looking super saturated and super bright, which on a normal day is good, but on a day where I'm already in a bit of a freak out type of mode, it was not too good. But the good thing is the color did kind of calm down. It looked really bright when I first put it on, but eventually it kind of became a little more desaturated, which was perfect because that was exactly what I wanted and needed. But still, just to play it safe, when I was coloring in Mira's top, I picked a more purplish blue, and this is the color that I was actually going for. This is the perfect color. And also look how there is zero bleed through. This sketchbook is working really well. Also, I think you guys might have noticed that at this point my art style looks really different, and if I'm being completely honest, none of this is intentional. I am not intentionally changing my art style. It's kind of got a mind of its own. Like, that's one way to think about it. It's literally evolving, and I'm not doing this on purpose. I'm not trying to change my art style or improve it or make it different. It's just happening, and it's kind of cool. I'm just going with the flow at this point, and I'm kind of curious to see where it'll be in about a month's time. I've also noticed that a lot of parts of my process are changing too. Like, instead of doing everything step by step, like coloring in the entire drawing, then adding pencil, then adding acrylic paint pen, and then finalizing everything with the highlights, I'm kind of working on each part as I go and finalizing it one by one instead of doing it all together, which I kind of like. I'm really enjoying this because sometimes shaking things up with your art is a really good way to kind of just stay engaged and not get bored, because even though art is fun, sometimes doing things in a very repetitive way for a very long time can make it feel a bit tedious and like a chore and not fun. But today we are trying to maximize the fun. Also, it's super random, but if you have art block, this actually works as well, because let's say you don't want to draw or you don't like drawing, try to make it fun in any type of way. Maybe have your favorite show playing in the background, listen to music, grab out some paint, do some finger painting, or grab out some crayons and just scribble. Try to do something that makes art fun, and gradually you'll learn to fall in love with the process again. I remember I tried this once. I did this, it's actually kind of funny. So I had these early morning classes at one point, and I had to wake up super duper early, and I didn't want to because I strictly loved waking up at 6:30, and anything earlier than that was too much for me to handle. So then I did this thing where I would grab my headphones as soon as my alarm rang and pop them on and play some music. And in that way, mornings actually became fun, and for that entire week, I was able to wake up super early without having any kind of problem. And again, it was fun, so that's the biggest advantage. And now jumping back to our drawing once again, look at Zoey's pants. How absolutely gorgeous do they look? There's so much detail, but it was super fun to work on. I feel like I've said this before, but gold and navy blue are the best combination. They literally scream formal wear, party wear, elegant, gorgeous, beautiful. So when I was using my golden metallic pen, gel pen that is, on the navy blue pants, they looked so good. It's always the best feeling when you're working on a drawing and the process is fun and the result looks good, and that's exactly how I would describe Zoey's outfit. I also loved coloring in her green top. I added lots of dots and sparkles to make it look really shimmery and glittery, and that was super fun to do as well. By the way, in case you're wondering, for this pose, I did use some references to kind of help me understand how their outfits look and how the lighting works with their outfits and character designs. but I actually did take some creative liberties with the poses. So firstly, you might have noticed that Zoey's bun is slightly higher than it should be placed. The main reason for that is because I wanted her bun to be visible in the drawing, so that's why I just put it ever so slightly higher. I also gave Rumi a mic to hold on to so we can see her hands and her ring, and I also had Mira put her hands on her hips instead of giving her the sword to hold on to, because that way we can actually see her fingerless gloves. They're all just super tiny details, but I feel like these tiny details are what work together to make a pretty significant difference. And finally, I did leave the best part for last, which is the hair. I was super excited to color in the hair because, like I said before, today the focus of this entire drawing is lighting. So I really wanted to go ahead and kind of focus on capturing the lighting when I'm coloring the hair. So that's why I started off by coloring in Zoey's hair with purple and then gradually blending that out until I got a black color where the shadows are. And in that way, I think the hair looks super cool. You can kind of see the lighting interacting with the character, and I'm super proud of how it's looking. Although I will say it was definitely something that kind of needed me to trust the process, because there were some moments in the process where it wasn't really looking like how I wanted it to look, but at the very end, I think it all tied together pretty well. Honestly, this drawing was such a process. It was such a fun process. I really enjoyed that I got to use different colors than I would normally use. I loved the way that the lighting interacted with the characters, and I had fun shading it and kind of focusing on shadows and lighting. It just really helped me to learn a lot of things as well. And most of all, I loved coloring their hair because they all have different hair colors, and also their outfits. They are so bright and vibrant. Overall, it was just such an enjoyable process. Okay, so I know for a fact that the sketching process took me 3 hours, line art took me 50 minutes, but with the coloring though, I'm not sure exactly how long it took, because when I was recording, I did switch between time-lapse and normal videos. I also did pause the video in specific parts, so I don't know exactly how long it took, but overall, I definitely spent a minimum amount of 6 hours working on this drawing. Which is about 3 hours more than I expected to spend, but at the same time, I had fun working on it, so I think that's what really matters. Also, look at the color of this marker, chocolate pink. Like, why does that sound so delicious? Just a random thought. And now it's finally time to do the hair of our final character, Mira. So Mira has like a very beautiful red hair color, and I wanted to capture that with the lighting also being considered. Now, like I did with Zoey and Rumi, I couldn't use purple because in the reference image, her hair was kind of slightly yellowish or orangish where the light was hitting it. So that's why I used the chocolate pink color, and then I went in and layered it with this really pretty red color. I gradually kind of built up my shading using this pretty brown color as well, and I tried to keep it as red as I could, and in the end, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. It was a bit of a trust the process moment again, which I know I've said a lot of times in this video, but that is exactly what this drawing was. But at the same time, the process did not fail me. And of course, once I was done using my markers, I went back in with my acrylic paint pens and pencils and gel pens to really make everything super bright and shiny. And just like that, before I realized it, I was done. It feels so surreal to have finished this drawing, but it's actually done, and we're signing it off because you know what time it is. It is time for the grand reveal. Now let me show you how it looks. Check it out. This is the final drawing. Look at how bright and vibrant and shiny it is. I love the colors, I love the pose, I love the way I've done the shading and everything. Overall, this drawing was fun to work on, it's fun to look at, and it's just making me super happy. I am really happy with how it turned out, and as always, feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. By the way, just to let you know, if you haven't seen them already, I did make individual drawings of each of the 3 Huntrix members. You guys have already seen the drawing that I made of Rumi, but here are the more recent ones. the drawing that I made of Zoey, and the one that I made of Mira just yesterday. I love how all the drawings have like a different style to them. With Rumi's drawing, I really focused on the lighting. With Zoey, I really wanted to make her look bright and colorful, and with Mira, I went for a really soft, almost line artless style, and I think they all look so unique and distinct in their own ways. But yeah, here's how they turned out. Let me know if you liked these individual drawings more, or the drawing that we made today of all 3 Huntrix members together. Working on this drawing was truly such a wonderful journey, and I'm so glad you could join me to see the process and to watch this drawing come to life. Thank you so much for watching, Magical Sparks. It really means a lot to me. Hope you guys all have a fabulous day, stay awesome as always, and I will see you all in the very next video. Keep sparkling! Bye!